book nerds, this is Gabby and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today we're gonna do the mid-year freakout book tag. We're already in the middle of 2021. I have no idea how this happened, but here we are, and I am actually really freaking out because I'm gonna leave my country soon. I'm gonna move to Spain to study, hopefully editing and publishing, and I'm really excited about it. I've seen a lot of channels that are doing this tag and it seemed a lot of fun, so let's do it. Number 1, the best book you've read so far in 2021. And that would be The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang. Oh my god, I loved this book so much. I read it in June as a read along in our book club Discord server, and I cannot express how much I love this book. I think it's my new favorite fantasy standalone ever. M.L. Wang's writing surprised me to no end in every aspect of the book. It's a Japanese inspired fantasy with an amazing magic system, with a very compelling world. It talks about very interesting topics, and the character arcs are beautiful. I'm gonna do a spoiler-free review of this book soon, and we're gonna have a live discussion with our friends on the Discord, so stay tuned for that. This is such a unique story, way darker than I thought it would be, but it's raw, it's tragic. It portrays human emotions in such a real way that I couldn't help but fall in love with this book, these characters, this everything. Number 2 best sequel you've read so far in 2021, and that would be Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 4 in the Stormlight Archive, one of my favorite series of all time. And this book was released on 2020, but Book Depository was very slow with the shippings, and I didn't receive it until the end of the year, so I read it later than I hoped I would. And I love this book. It's by far the best sequel I've read this year, although it's my least favorite Stormlight book, to be honest, but still is amazing. I love being in Russia. It's such an alive world and full of magic, and the cast of characters is amazing. I'm so attached to all of them. I cannot really explain what the Stormlight Archive is about, because but yeah, this is an epic fantasy to the very core, and I really recommend it. The books are massive, but they're worth it. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but you want to, and I think that would be The Shadow of the Gods by John Wynne. Oh, the light. Sorry, the light bulb just burned and I had to change it. Anyway, The Shadow of the Gods by John Wynne. This is a new release that has booktube literally on fire. I haven't read any John Wynne book, but I'm really curious and intrigued. What has everyone crazy about it? I've been hearing just praises about this book, and so I'm really excited to start reading it. I have no idea when I'm going to read it because my TBR is crazy huge, but yeah, I'm gonna find up time to do so. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and that would be Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. This is book 3 and the final book in the Greenbone saga, and I'm really excited to read it. Although it's kind of cheating because I haven't even read book 2, but I loved the first book, Jade City, so much that I'm really excited to read this one. Number 5, biggest disappointment. And I have 2, I think, but I would choose From Blood and Ash by Jennifer Almentrout, but I didn't really expect big things of this book. I just wanted to read a fantasy romance, and I ended up hating it. But the biggest disappointment, I guess, would be Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, because I've been hearing so many good things about this book, and when I read it, I didn't hate it, but I thought it was bland and flat in terms of character. The setting of this book is really interesting, is African inspired, and it's such a fresh touch to fantasy that I really enjoyed that. But the lack of character development and the excess of action, because yes, I never thought I would say there was way too much action in a book, but this proved me wrong. I mean, it's not just that there's fight after fight, but they all look the same, and really there were not high stakes here, and people might argue that, but come on, we all know that Tao is always gonna make it out of it. My friends from the book club are probably going to understand what I'm talking about. Number 6, biggest surprise. And I'm not going to say the Sword of Kagan because I already used that. So I'm gonna choose Jade City by Fonda Lee. I already kind of used that as well. But after the Sword of Kagan, this is easily my favorite read of the year. This book was so much fun to read. It's a mafia story with very Godfather-esque vibes, with magic. It's set in a modern-ish world, in a very big city, in where the mafia controls everything. It has a lot of power within the government and in the economy, and the main asset and the base of the magic system is Jade. The characters in this book are very interesting and very unique, although at first they seem to follow a lot of tropes. The stakes in this book are very high. Fonda Lee has no mercy. The use of Jade is very interesting. I love how Jade, the magic, is sort of a drug as well, and there are real consequences for the excess of use of magic, and I really like that in a magic system. I have a spoiler-free review for this one, so I will put it in the corner and the description, and I also have a live discussion with my friends that I will also link in the description down below. Number 7, new favorite author, debut or new to you? And I'm gonna choose the latter, new to me. And I don't know if it counts because I just have read one book of her, but seriously, M.L. Wang just won me over with every aspect of her writing. I loved her prose. It's beautiful. I love how she writes human emotions, relationships. I love how she writes her characters, how she pays so much attention to details and makes you so immersed in her world. I don't know, I am gushing, but seriously, I loved her work. Number 8, newest fictional crush. And I don't think I have a new crush in fiction, so I'm gonna choose Ginny Weasley from Harry Potter. I'm doing a reread on the Harry Potter series, and although I've always liked Ginny as a character and she's so underestimated, I very, very much fell in love with her all over again through this reread. She is so strong, so brave. Ginny is awesome in everything she does. She is a kick-ass Quidditch player. She is smart. She is a very powerful witch. And she's so beautiful. I don't know, I'm in love with her. Number 9, newest favorite character, and I don't want to keep repeating myself and say Misaki Matsuda, but she is. So I'm gonna choose Sandan Glokta from the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. Glokta is a very interesting character. He is a bad person. He is an inquisitor, he is a torturer, and one of the most compelling characters I've ever read. There's just so much to him. His ever-growing physical pain combined with his internal conflicts. He asks himself a lot why he's doing what he's doing. And I think it's interesting, he tries so hard to convince himself that he doesn't have any feeling, that he doesn't have a heart. He is so smart and paranoid, he doesn't trust anyone. Understandably so, all the characters in these books are very untrustworthy. It's so much fun to be in his head and read his internal monologues. I laugh out loud so much at his sarcasm. I don't know, his character is very cool. Number 10, a book that made you cry. And I don't want to repeat myself again and again, but I think you can guess which one it is. So I'm gonna say And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Backman. I've mentioned this book a lot, and I mention it every time someone asks me what book has made me cry, because I started crying from page 1. This book is about an old man who starts to fall into dementia. We follow him, his son, and his grandson, and it's just heartbreaking because you see this old man losing himself and how this affects his grandson and his son. And it's just, if you want to pick up a very short book just to cry, please pick up this one. It won't fail. Number 11, a book that made you happy, and there's none other than Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I love this book so much. It's so beautiful. I mean, this is the definition of a feel-good book. I loved meeting Anne Shirley and the people in Avonlea. Anne is an orphan that was accidentally adopted by two brothers, Matthew and Marilla Cuthbert. And she is a very interesting girl, a very interesting character. Her imagination has no limits. And she often, with her personality, takes people from this very conservative town in Canada out of their comfort zone, and it's so much fun to see, and it's just lovely. It makes me so happy. Question 12, the most beautiful book you bought this year or received. And if you mean by content, I would answer what I answered in the last questions, Anne of Green Gables, because of all the reasons I've said before. If not, I would choose my new collection of The Lord of the Rings. I don't have the Fellowship of the Ring here because I'm currently reading it, but I love these editions. They are really, really pretty. I'm probably just gonna put a picture there because the lighting is very, very bad right now. Number 13, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? Okay, where do I start? Well, I am reading The Lord of the Rings, so I plan on finishing that. I plan on starting reading The Wheel of Time. I plan on rereading Mistborn and Harry Potter. I want to read Jade War, Jade Legacy. I have to read The Ember Blade. I want to keep reading the Dresden Files. I just started reading them and I'm having a lot of fun with them. I want to start reading John Wynn's books. I want to start Discworld, especially with Small Gods and Guards. I've been seeing so many people talking about these books recently that I'm really excited to start with them. And I would love to read The Doors of Stone, the last book in the Kingkiller Chronicles, but we all know that that is not going to happen. Anyway, that was my mid-year freakout book tag. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to keep chatting about these books in the comments. Let me know what are your favorite books of this year so far. And don't forget to hit the bell and click on the subscribe button if you want to stay tuned for more content. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the future.